How you doing? It's Monday, everybody, which means an all-new episode of the OH.Report video podcast starring me, Brian Skoronsky. And you probably noticed no Browns attire today. We were pretty far away from earning a victory Monday this week, but I do have on the Big Kahuna shirt. It's that Hawaiian burger joint. Never actually had one myself, but I hear that they make a tasty burger. Anyways, a lot still to come from the world of sports here tonight. We're going to discuss plenty of different things, and by we, me and my sidekick is back with me, Travis Big League Berardi, and it's not just any week, it's
Victory
Brawl
Monday.
Week, baby!
Brawl Week and a Victory Monday for me, too, but Brawl Week.
Brawl Week.
There's a thing we say about Pitt, but I can't say it because it's actually not intended
so
for
but
younger
most of our viewers
anyway.
are from Ohio. What the hell is Brawl Week? What's happening for you right now?
Backyard Brawl, one of the longest rivalries in the country. West Virginia Pitt, separated by 90 miles. And it's gotten even more heated since what happened to us in 2007. The 13-9 game. It kept us out from playing Ohio State and beating them in the national championship game. But anyway.
And last year, too, one of the greatest
last year knocked them
ever,
off.
right?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Beat them, knocked them off last year, needed some defensive stands. The year before that, I was in attendance. If you remember that whole weekend, I did not have much of a voice. Still called a game with Andy and did the pigskin. But, it's back in Pittsburgh. I almost had a chance of going, but it fell off last second. But I will be tuned in on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 kickoff, as we look to knock off Pitt again and sing our rendition of Sweet Caroline. You know the verse that we say.
I've heard it many a times.
Pitt.
Yeah, it's a little different than the standard words, but at least you won't just be like getting by and surviving this weekend. So for your own body's health and longevity as a human being, it might be a good thing.
Well, still,
the party wagon can't come pick you up this time.
Party wagon, it might come to me though. You never know.
We'll see.
Watch it, whatever. But it's gonna be We gotta get through the week though. We have a busy week.
We do.
And a busy podcast too.
We got a lot going on here tonight. We are going to talk with Kendra Snook and members, we think, possibly, of the undefeated Monroeville volleyball squad.
They looking good.
They're practicing right now. Kendra said that she'd walk away for about 10 minutes, give us a little bit of FaceTime. So we'll catch up with her. NFL Week 1 wrapping up tonight. One great week for us AFC Northers, unless, of course, you're a Steelers fan, and that depends how you feel about winning with no touchdowns.
Team with a win.
So congratulations.
Defense.
1-0. Lucas Wickheiser just messaged me and said that he'd be available to jump on. He writes for us for the Klebus, of course, on the website. So we'll get his, I don't know. I already read. I know how Luke feels, but we'll extrapolate a little bit more out of him about Week 1 and what the Browns did yesterday. Of course, we'll also have your top plays of the week as well as your Friday night Phenomniees from week number 3 of the high school football season. Never gets old saying, and it goes by pretty quick, so enjoy it while it is here, a third of the way through already. But we're going to begin, Travis, with an all-new segment. We're going to go with the Knox County Athletic Conference Report. So when you've got KMAC Trav in the building,
yes, sir.
This is big time, baby. So I know that you're very excited for this one, and we've been tuning in to a lot of the football action going on, and only one undefeated team still remaining in the league. And only one winless team. So there's a lot. It's kind of like a burger where you got
a
the
Kahuna
premium
burger
up top, a little something different on the bottom, and then a whole lot in the middle.
A lot of parity in this conference. And, there's, as expected, top 2 teams, the Northmore Golden Knights, the Danville Blue Devils, as well as the Cardington Pirates up there at 2-1. Let's pull up the standings from the Knox-Mara Athletic Conference. But Golden Knights, as expected, 3 consecutive running clock victories. Northmore sits at 3-1. Cardington, hey, that was a question mark about them. They played some okay teams, but hey, 2-1's 2-1, no matter what.
They're the most surprising team as I'm looking at this right now in the conference. They barely got by Elgin week 1, 26-22. They bounced back week 3 after getting dump trucked by Mohawk, though, in week 2. Destroyed Bucyrus last week, so I'm pleasantly surprised to see them above 500. But your Golden Knights, got the numbers right in front of me. They've outscored their 3 opponents by 123 points. No Jack Swinger the last 2 weeks. We'll find out a lot about them the next couple of upcoming weeks, though, at Centerburg, them versus Danville. So it really feels to me like the cream has already kind of risen to the crop, but now they got to battle it out to see who's going to emerge as the top dog.
Well, it's a big week all around because I'll be at Danville as they take on Mount Gilead. There's 2 2-1 teams. Northmore taking on Centerburg. So there's 2 of the others. So 4 of the top 5 teams in the conference immediately going to be going at each other. And then in 2 weeks, the Golden Knights going to be hosting Danville.
Right.
Last year, it was it was the closest game in conference that Danville had with somebody until week 10. The Mud Bowl against East Knox had to go in overtime. So, the Golden Knights chomping at the bit to get to Danville. But I keep saying this, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Still got to beat Danville. They are still undefeated in conference, and until somebody knocks them off, they are still the Knox-Mara Athletic Conference champs. Their one loss, Hopewell Loudon at Hopewell, only lost by a score. That's a pretty, it's like Cary, pretty darn impressive to be sticking up with a team that's constantly year in and year out.
But not like the team that we saw last year under Coach Blum that was just dominant from start to finish outside of that Mud Bowl, getting all the way to the regional championship. So Mount Gilead getting the first shot at them here in the league. They played really well. I think they got a plus 27 margin right now. Kind of a head-scratching loss in week 2. I really thought that they were going to take care of Upper Sandusky, have an opportunity to be 3-0 going head-to-head with Danville, but still a couple of 2-1s going toe-to-toe. So I feel like that's probably the most interesting game coming up this week on the KMAC schedule, would you say?
Yeah. Mount Gilead, kind of like Danville, well, not last year, but 2 years ago, a rushing defense. 740 total rushing yards so far this year. But Cole Fricky able to pass the ball for 216 as well. They need to get that passing attack going. It's why they lost to Upper Sandusky. They relied on the run. Upper Sandusky in that second half really focused on the run, tried to force Mount Gilead to pass, couldn't really do that, and that's how Upper Sandusky was able to get the victory, but a good bounce back last week. But 956 total yards of offense through 3 weeks for Mount Gilead, and they've only given up 746. So 263 on the rushing side, 483 through the air. So Danville, you may see them try to throw the ball early just to get Mount Gilead out of sinks, and then we've already seen what that defense is at Danville. If they can stop the run, they'll have the upper hand.
And if that is the main course of this weekend, I think Centerburg, Northmore, obviously, that might be like a nice big jumbo appetizer that you would get before that, because a huge second half for them against Worthington Christian. I was just playing around with the highlights today and seeing all the big explosive plays they had, like a 97-yard touchdown run. They had other guys getting loose. Saw Miles run for about a 60-yarder. So they got some playmakers, and they're only lost at Ontario in a game that they were competitive in. They were winning early on in that game, but when you're going against an Ohio State commit, you're on the road. It's a tough environment to win in. So another good matchup in there. East Knox, let's talk about them real quick, because didn't look good for them against Colonel Crawford. Nobody's looked good against the Eagles so far this year.
No.
They are quarterbackless in terms of no starter. The guy that they've had the last couple of years under center, Jax Lester, we don't know how long he's going to be out. Big question mark right now for the entire league.
Rush Beatty did come in 7-19 passing for 108 yards, but this may be where they rely on Blake Elliott to really bring things in until Rush really gets comfortable. Logan Clark, 80 yards receiving in that game against Colonel Crawford. Landon Dawson, 18 yards. Dakota Cooper, 7. Caden Ridenour, 2. So they until they can really get that passing game back and going, it's probably going to be the likes of a Blake Elliott that will try to get them back into the tune of things, as it's going to be tough. They get Loudonville.
Not that tough. Only
after
Loudonville,
they get Cardington, Mount Gilead, Northmore. So right now, they have a chance to really get that offense back and going here in the next couple of weeks. I can see them being competitive with what they have.
Tackling's been tough against Colonel Crawford, as you see those rolling pictures right
Connor
here.
McMichael is just a beast out there.
The next 2 weeks, I think, really play well for them since you're not playing at Chet Looney, obviously one of the best home cookings that we got in the entire state, but to go at Loudonville and then at Cardington Lincoln, who maybe a little bit of Fugazi, we'll see. At least preseason, there wasn't a whole lot of thought and expectation for them. The schedule's been a little bit soft, and we'll see how things end up turning out over these first couple of weeks, but I think that we'll probably by week 5, by the time it's in the books, Travis, I think we'll probably know who's going to end up winning the league.
Northmore Danville on week 5, and Northmore already plays Centerburg. The big question mark too will be Fredericktown. Blake Sipes, Gavin Toombs and company. Sipes, dual threat quarterback. He has 447 yards rushing. He has 289 yards passing, and most of them is to Gavin Toombs. Just as a team, Fredericktown right now, through 3 games, defensively, giving up 735 total yards. It's been balanced. It's a little bit more rushing than passing.
It's not awful.
And honestly, the only team we've seen that could balance it out is Northmore, passing-wise and rushing-wise. Other than that, it's mostly rushing. So if you can stop the run against most of these teams, you have a good chance. But offensively, 684 rushing yards, the 300 yards passing. So that's one of those teams that, hey, you get a turnover here, turnover there, you make a stop, you get a big play. This is a team that can be in it. Yeah,
Blake Sipes, he's the real deal, man. I seen him last year in that Freddyburg game, and he went off. So their last 2 losses, too, just by 1 score. You know, they played some really tough competition. Utica and Northridge, they were right there in the end. And I like that week 1 win for them against Highland, a former KMAC opponent. So I think a lot to like about every team so far. Loudonville's the only one that you look at. I mean, they played Mapleton tough in week 1. Since then, Worthington Christian, not so good. Next week against Hillsdale, didn't go so well as well. But it's going to be a fun league to keep an eye on. And you've been tracking all the stats.
Yeah.
You've been keeping up with all the football coaches. So we've got some
everybody
leaders,
except for one. Anybody from Cardington, if you guys want to send your stats, you can be included in here.
Yeah, Goatsman, hit us up, man.
That's it. Everybody else, I do think I made a... It took me a long time to build these sheets, but it's working well. And 7 of the 8 coaches, thank you all. Shout out to you guys as well for putting in the stats. But we have a good, comprehensive statistical leaders that we're going to bring out now for
Let's see the
fruit
of your labors,
baby. You want passing, you want rushing, you want receiving first. It'll be the top 6 in each category.
Let's do passing, please.
Bring them up. Passing leaders first, and as expected, A.J. Bauer. Northmore really hasn't had to pass the last 2 weeks either. He had a big 300-yard effort against Upper Sandusky, but really hasn't had to because the attack they had rushing-wise and just the running clocks. So these are literally just 2 games. A whole game against Upper and first half, and the other 2, well, not even a full game. So less than 2 games worth. He's 20 of 25, 524, 6 touchdowns. Did have an interception against Mapleton, but looking pretty good. Blaine Ball of Centerburg, 398 yards passing on 37 of 57. You see Centerburg, that passing attack, them as well as Loudonville, they're the ones that will mostly put it through the air. 398 and 2. Jax Lester, before getting hurt, still got to shout him out for what he has done so far. 28 of 46 for 393. Like I said, Wade, just under 300. Blake Sipes as well, with most of that going to Gavin Toombs. And then Jacob Hackman of Danville. We talked about them rushing, but he can still put it up through the air. And with that Danville team, if they can pass it just enough, especially if you look at their region, it is a lot easier than what it has been in the past. So if they can do that little back and forth, they can pass it a little bit to complement the rush. Danville, I mean, we're talking about how many people they've lost, but things are set up again for them this year. But as always, A.J. Bauer, with all the big play receivers.
He's only got 5 incompletions all year.
Yeah, even without Jax Lester, but Jax will be back as another playmaker. But a guy by the name that I like to nickname Big Play Bo Landon, as we will see on the receiving leaders, just really sticking things up. Look at that. 7 catches for 223 and a touchdown.
Yow.
Josiah Hirschberger of Loudonville, the number 1 target for Dylan Wade, 218 and a touchdown on 15 catches. Logan Clark and Dakota Cooper, each of East Knox. Those are 2 that really need to get be big play receivers now for Rush Beatty. Clark, 199 and a catch. Cooper 164 and a catch, and then Trevin Harris is Centerburg. He's one of those players you were going to watch for early in the season. The senior, 11 catches, 177 and 3, and then there's Gavin Toombs with 120 yards receiving on 7 catches for 2 touchdowns.
Some really awesome athletes on that list. I love Toombs' size. He's a difference maker no matter where you put him on the field. He can probably line up at tight end. He might even be a tight end for them in a lot of situations, blocking down.
Big play guy.
And then Trevin Harris. That's a kid that he jumps out the gym when he's on the basketball court. So I love seeing the fact that he's been targeted that many times and making the most of them so far. About 17 yards per catch, getting in the end zone 3 times.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, big playmaker there for Centerburg, and that's what he's going to have to do on Friday night against the Northmore Golden Knights. And lastly, let's get to those running backs because it is more of a rushing conference. And
the Cougars trying to
got a cougar out there.
Yeah.
Blake Sipes of Fredericktown. Oh boy,
crashed the party.
74 carries, 447 on the ground, and 4 touchdowns. Like I said, that dual threat quarterback. Cam Vickers of Mount Gilead, 363 on the ground, and then Aiden Burke of Danville. He's the new number 1 running back for the Blue Devils this season. 55 carries, 338 and 3. Blake Elliott, like I said, he's probably going to be getting a lot more carry, even though he has 60, so he's 20 carries per game. It might have to get up to about 30 if they want to really get that offense going again for East Knox. He's just under 300 yards. Blaine Ball and Miles Marshall, a 1-2 punch at running back for the Trojans at 204 and just under 200. So there's another thing for Centerburg. They have options now. They can put them both in the backfield, and it'll be a little bit of a question of who's going to get the ball, and then there is Blake Elliott as well, one of our Phenomniees a couple weeks ago. There's Mount Gilead as well. A lot of rushing attacks and a lot of rushing leaders. It's spread out in the conference.
Yeah, small schools, typically that will be the case, and obviously no exception within the KMAC. So a lot of dynamite playmakers. You get the ball in their hands, you get them a little bit of space, and some of them, like Blake Elliott, he's kind of that combo where he's got the size and the speed, the ferocity to do a little bit of both. And the two-headed attack there at Centerburg, what we're going to see coming up here in some top play action, they're both pretty menacing runners when they get some greenery out in front of them. All right, so that's the football side of things, Travis. Let's give the ladies an opportunity to be heard. Volleyball, 2 really dominant teams from the research that I did. 3 who could maybe make a little bit of noise, and then 3 kind of in a rebuild here. So they've got the full gamut going on. Let's begin with a couple of those top teams in Fredericktown, who I think just coming off of they got swept by Galleon here recently in a match, but they also have sweeps of Clear Fork and Danville, and just a 3-headed monster. Maya Bryant, Ella Boughton, Lily Rose. Callie Carpenter got to lead probably the conference in assists, I would imagine. She's unbelievable distribution leader.
Yeah, and I was able to actually, let's pull up the statistics for volleyball.
Cool.
It kills leaders. We're going to look at kills leaders tonight, but you just said it, Brian. Most of them are Fredericktown players in the top 6 in the KMAC in kills, but this is a team that went to a district championship last year, and they brought most of them back as we take there's the volleyball standings as well. And I just realized I put a football background in there, but hey, it's for volleyball.
Yeah, it's football season.
Fredericktown, look at that, 7-3 overall, but they're 4-0. Centerburg, you were talking about it before the podcast, a really good team. It brought it this year. They're 7-1. They're 3-0 overall. Loudonville, they were a power in the Mid-Buckeye Conference coming over now. Yeah. They are 3-1 in conference, 4-4. Golden Knights, the Lady Knights, they had a tough start. They got swept by Lucas and by Clear Fork, 2-0 in that tri-match. Kind of a tough start, but we'll see them tomorrow night against Danville. They bounced back, though. They actually played Fredericktown tough. That's their lone loss, so maybe they're finally finding their footing. And then East Knox, Danville, both 1-3. Cardington and Mount Gilead without a win yet in conference.
Well, Centerburg, you look at that one loss, and it's at Olentangy, who they're a Division I school. They're 5-1 overall. They have swept their other 7 matches. Nobody has come close to touching the Trojans so far. Good balance of veterans, Julia Orndorff, Josie Dawes, and then they've got some youngsters. I saw that they got some freshmen, Larimore, Weisbrod. doing some big things number-wise for them. Team hitting percentage, very high, too. It's like twice the national average. So Centerburg right now, in my opinion, they look like they'd probably be the favorite to go ahead and win this whole thing. But they got some tough matches coming up. They host Utica tonight. They're at Loudonville tomorrow, and then Northmore on Thursday. So they're playing quite a bit of volleyball here over the next few days. And then next week,
it's
that's the big one.
Freddieburg Part 1. I think those two matches will determine the Knox-Morrow Athletic Conference. Loudonville always good, but I think they're a bit down this year. I think it's going to be between Fredericktown and Loudonville once again. Not Loudonville, Centerburg once again for the conference championship.
Well, Travis, since we're talking about volleyball, if it's okay, I'd like to throw in a little bit of an audible because we've got a coach on line one right now, right in the middle of practice.
Practice?
And not just any
Talk
practice,
about practice,
Travis. Yeah, it is kind of late, actually, to be out there on the volleyball courts, but if you want to be undefeated, you got to put in that extra work. There's no question about it. So, kind enough to give us 10 minutes. Please welcome to the show undefeated coach of the Monroeville Lady Eagles, Miss Kendra Snook.
What's up, Coach?
Can you guys hear me?
Well, there you are. Yeah, I think we can hear you. I might have to turn up the audio a little bit here. I'm going to go grab the clicker. But practicing kind of late tonight. Is this pretty standard for you? Did you guys like to be out there and kind of like at the game hours to make it feel like it's a live setting?
Actually, no. My daughter transferred to Monroeville this year and is a 7th grader, and they had a match tonight, so I got to play both mom and coach. So we schedule practices a little bit later on Monday night so I can go watch her play first and watch our junior high team play, and then we get back in the gym to make sure we get a full practice in.
Being a parent takes up so much of our time. I'm not sure why we all decide that it's a great idea to sign up for these things, but it seems like you're balancing it pretty well. I mean, the 7-0 start, the extra work, it's paying off here, and I think we're already a third of the way through the season. It goes by so fast. So to still be undefeated, tell me about the weapons on your team. I've seen 5 girls, more than 25 kills, so it looks like you're pretty dangerous all over, no matter where the ball is, if you're in system, out of system. It seems like you got some girls that can throw some flamethrowers and get it done.
Yeah, right now we're really happy with our balance. So, that will probably hurt us come like individual voting, but we're all about where the team goes. No one necessarily knows who's going to get the ball. Consistently, we have 3 or 4 kids with close to double-digit kills a night. So that's good. We have our 3 juniors, which are returning. They were freshmen on our state runner-up team with Addie and Alexa Adams and Maddie Reber. And then we have a newcomer who is a sophomore who's really stepping up in the middle, Riley Platt. And then we have 2 seniors on the right side doing a great job, Taryn Tyler and Kaylee Kagerai. So all 6 of them can contribute at any time. We actually have 2 kids that dress varsity too that are dominant on JV that I think would start on most other rosters. And so we're fortunate to have them and then have them in our gym with varsity practice too, knowing that I have those as kids who can contribute at any time too.
Looks like you've got 2 really good setters too, in Addison Lyons and Casey Post. So they're handing out assists out there, like Travis hands off 20s at the Taco Bell drive-through. It's consistent, it's all the time, and they're getting it done. So what type of a luxury is that for you in the offense to have 2 different girls that at any different moment they can set it up on the net, the back line, and you know it's going to be on the money?
Yeah, right. Oh, we have not ran. So we're running a 6-2. We have not ran a 6-2 on offense in a long, long time. Sometimes it's hard to have 1 real good setter in. We're fortunate right now to have 2 that can contribute and get those girls the ball. So Addison, ran a 5-1 last year. And this year, Casey is a freshman, so she's been able to step in. And it's just nice because then I can get the bigger block-ups front with my hitters. So when we have so many hitters, if we can run that 2-setter offense, it makes things, a little bit more balanced for us. So they're both doing a good job. They're both working hard on our alumni setter, Cam Hedrick, who was real good on some of our state teams. She is actually volunteering assistant right now, and she works with them. And I think she's doing a great job with our setters. So they continue to get better, which makes our team better.
Yeah, you guys have been awesome. I mean, you've only dropped 2 sets all season, both of those coming at Western Reserve last week, which is great to be dominant like you have been. But also, in the back of your mind, like as a coach, do you kind of wish you could get some more game reps or an opportunity to be pushed to that 4th and 5th set? Or are you just kind of cool, just buzz on through most of the competition thus far?
I think we've played hard and really have like pushed. I thought we had a great Galleon match. Gallion's a great team, and we came out, and I was not expecting to sweep them. And the kids are just playing hard and focused, and I think that's a great thing. Like I said, we're very balanced in practice. So right now we're doing a drill in there 6-on-6, and a lot of times I feel that our practices are like playing another varsity team. So that I think helps us a lot. So if we can go in and sweep a team, that's great. We have a really, really tough week this week, and we know that's probably not going to be the case at all this week. And we're going to continue to be pushed. And we have a lot of tough matches in our league coming up, along with a lot of non-league tough matches coming up.
Yeah, it looks like the top of the league is really solid. St. Paul, New London, Western Reserve, and yourself. But really, you guys, you make your hay by scheduling monsters outside of the league. You just talked about the match versus Galleon. I know you got Buckeye Central coming up on Saturday. We're going to be over there checking in on that one. So of those non-league opponents, who would you say has started to develop into kind of a rivalry for you guys that you're looking forward to getting them on the schedule every year?
Well, I guess, Buckeye Central has always been kind of one with, them in our district. And I guess when it's the 4 divisions, now that it's 7, it's a little bit of a cluster. But I think them and the other team that, is a real tough match for us every year. We don't win very many of them, but it's always a great match is Mohawk. They're towards the end of our year. So I really like having them on our schedule. But I wouldn't necessarily say any of them are just like big rivals, but we have Clyde and Bellevue. That's nice because a lot of these kids play with those girls during club season, and I get to coach some of those kids from Clyde and Bellevue, and they're bigger schools than us. So I like scheduling those dominant, same size schools as us, but then to have those bigger schools on our schedule too is a nice thing.
Well, you can obviously tell it gets you ready for the playoffs and making runs all the way to state like you guys have had a proclivity for doing here lately. And speaking of the postseason, changing divisions, Travis has a question for you about the new expansion of volleyball.
Yeah, we talked about this in the offseason, but your thoughts about dropping down to Division 6? You have 7 divisions. It's more spread out. I know New Bremen is still in 6 with you guys and Marion Local, things like that. But what are your thoughts about expanding from 4 to 7?
To tell you the truth, I think it changes divisions 1 and 2. But really, 3 through 7 is pretty much the same. There's a few less teams, but really not that many less. I think the big difference is Division 1 and 2 trying to really, get that big gap of the teams that are hundreds apart instead of with at least in the same, category. So I think it's a really good change for Division 1 and 2. And I don't necessarily think it's a huge effect on 3 through 7. It just gets some more teams the opportunity to play a little longer, which anytime you can give, these student athletes a chance to be successful and experience that type of atmosphere and all those types of things, I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah, Max Preps right now, their ratings of Division 6, you guys are 10th, and I think they have you in the whole state of Ohio is like 54th as well, so they're recognizing you guys. But ahead of them, Coldwater, St. Henry, Dalton, Marion Local, Parkway, Tenora, South Webster, New Bremen, and Acanium, the teams that are ahead of you guys. But I got 2 more questions for you. First, Brian was talking about your setters, your kills leaders, but what about your digs leader, Addie Holman, the sophomore, 138 digs, averaging 20 digs a match. Just we always talk about with Monroeville, you guys have that kind of that sweeper, that vacuum cleaner type player that will pretty much dig anything up. Is she the new one that we'll be seeing at Monroeville for the next few years?
She is the new one. So, we had Lily a few years ago, and then, Abby Pote stepped in, right after her. And actually Casey is her little sister, Abby's little sister, but, She stepped in last year and did a nice job, and Addison Homan was a defensive specialist for us as a freshman and got lots of minutes. So I think that's a huge thing to get that experience as a freshman. But she's doing a really nice job back there controlling the defense. What we're very fortunate about right now, though, is I have 3 other defensive specialists that I think are close to being just as good. So we have that depth defensively. Grace Stieber comes in, and then Rachel Fries and Maddie Miller as well. And so having those 4 not only be able to contribute in games to keep us in system and keep that ball off the ground, but to also have them in practice defending against us and, frustrating our hitters a little bit and knowing that we have to stay patient in practice, I think is huge for us.
Yeah, and it's huge when you go up against some really good teams, and like I just said, that top 10 in the state are some of the best teams, and it's that darn MAC. Once again, it's all up there with you guys. But you have a big one on Saturday. Not only is it a rematch of district play for the last few years, but it's the Delaney game. Just explain to some of the folks that don't know the story around Monroeville why you play this game and who you play it for.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, in 2021, one of our senior players, Delaney Giles, passed away during volleyball season. She was in a car accident in late June and had some complications and had passed away in September. She was a senior for us that year, and that whole season was, real. I don't know. It was real somber but special. We kind of played for her, had fun for her, and played like Delaney would. So, she's been kind of a huge part of our program, and we just don't want, to forget about her. And she was a kid who would always, work hard, play hard, and always having fun and always smiling. And so I think my attitude really has changed since then. The last thing I tell the kids before they go out and play every time is to have some fun. And we want to make sure that like every year, we don't remember her just one day out of the year, but every year we do at least one match for her. And this is right around the anniversary of when she passed. So Saturday will be our purple out for Delaney.
Yep, and I'll be wearing purple up there as we'll have the game for you live and free right here on the OH Report. 7-0, undefeated. Like you said, you have a big week ahead of you. Just how do you keep from some of your players' heads from growing too big about this fast start?
I think they are all actually real experienced in there. But they're really determined. They have goals, and they know we didn't meet all of our goals last year. And so, we're 7-0, but they know that we have a lot more of a season. So we always talk about it's the next match is our most important match of the year. So right now our most important match of the year is tomorrow against South Central. And we really try to look small picture instead of big picture and just focus one match at a time. So they have me in their ear, making sure they know that we have to keep getting better, because I honestly believe that.
Well, also with the softball team and some of your volleyball players playing there, making it to a state championship game, does that help out too with them knowing that, they have to take things one game at a time? Some of those players that, didn't get a lot of time playing volleyball, but were on the softball team as well and got to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I think, success breeds success. And I think having a lot of those athletes like Taryn and Maddie that were on the state floor in volleyball, and Abby at that time too, helps them be successful in the softball, knowing and having that experience and not letting the nerves set in and all those things. But now having that in another sport, that's pretty remarkable. And they just want to keep building on that. And, Taryn is one of our captains, and, she's a huge leader for us in continuing to want to get better, continuing to lead by example. And, once you've tasted a little bit of success, you want to get back there. And I think that's what all these kids want to do, is they want to just keep improving, but they know it takes hard work. They know nothing's going to be handed to us. We have a hard road in front of us. And in order for us to experience any of that success we've done in the past, that, it's one step at a time now, and to continue getting better each day.
Well, there's definitely no better flavor than success, I would say, in the sports world, except for maybe sprinkles on top of some ice cream after a victory. But that's because of success, I suppose, here, Kendra. So it comes full circle. And it seems like you've had a lot of it going on out there in Monroeville, not just volleyball, softball, like you mentioned. Football is doing great. So success breeds success. And we're looking forward to being a part of this one coming up here on Saturday. So thanks for the invite over there. And we'll have Travis come crash the party. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
No problem. Thanks for having us. Look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, well, what a cool thing they have going on for Delaney, the Delaney game, as you called it. So there she is, and anytime that you can honor somebody, and I think she put it very perfectly, it's both, it's somber and special all at the same time, but you need to keep memories alive of people that were a part of your life and were special folks. And obviously, that's what they felt like Delaney was for this program. So to honor her in this way, to wear the purple shirts, and to make sure that it's not just one game per year or one day that they're thinking about, or they're talking on the locker room and bringing up her past memories. Kudos to Coach Snook to keep her spirit alive, and obviously it's been helping. She's having an impact year after year, getting to state Final Fours and such.
Yeah, there's the picture of three of the GOATs from volleyball at Monroeville: Grayson Yoder, Maddie Daniel, and Hannah Lyons as well, the three for Monroeville. It started that streak because that year they ended up going to the Final Four. We had that for them. And then the year after, a state championship appearance where they finished as runner-up. Last year, tough one. Dropped to a very good Buckeye Central team. But once again, I mean, this may be one of the most stacked teams they've had since they went to state.
Yeah, and that is saying something. Like our producer just shouted out, because they've been really good. But they've had the new ones, as you mentioned, and like she said, the new Lily Whites to come in on that back line. The generational type of players, where a post got a younger sister coming in now and filling the lineup. So we'll have Monroeville on some action here coming up on Saturday. Then we get them again a little bit later in the year in a big match at Cary. So
and then we'll have them during the tournament run as well. That district's going to be fun again. But it's just crazy that all the teams that they had to run into in their tournament path in the last few years still in the same division. Also Centerburg, but that's on the other side of the bracket probably. So we may see a lot of good action coming up. We got to go back to the KMAC, actually.
Good thing you brought up Centerburg. Let's reel it back in. We were right in the middle of that KMAC report. We were talking about volleyball. We saw the standings, even though we tried to confuse everybody with the football, and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's my bad. I'll have that fixed for next week.
But our stats for volleyball, we've got some kill leaders, right? So let's take a look at who's been dominating. You mentioned that the Lady Freddies, they've been crushing, and they do have a lot of really tall, gifted athletes out there, and maybe the best in the entire league in terms of being an athlete, setting them all up in Callie Carpenter. So you would imagine that the Freddies, they're going to get their accolades, they're going to get those all KMAC awards maybe by the end of this thing. Centerburg, really good. Loudonville, first season in the KMAC. Lost two of their last three. Smithfield probably didn't like that one that they got beat around pretty good in that. But they played the Freddies tough. 3-1, they ended up losing that match. And I seen that they at least probably have one or two players that might end up making it into your stat leaders.
Yeah, Maya Bryant, 108 kills, leads the way. Maya Bryant, Ella Boughton, Lillian Rose, Grayson Toombs, 5 of the top 6. Julia Orndorff from Centerburg, 87 kills. So she's there in 3rd. And then in 6th, Sophie Schultz of Loudonville at 66. But the big stats, Maya Bryant, 40.6% of the time that she swings, it's a kill. Yeah. That's pretty darn impressive. But it's actually topped by Julia Orndorff at 49.2.
Let's go.
That's, big numbers for these squads. And there they are. Bryant, like I said, 108 kills through, what is this, 8 matches for Fredericktown, or 10 matches for, that's pretty darn good, getting 10 kills per match, and the hitting percentage of 229. But let's talk about Orndorff. You said Centerburg stacked, and with her 401 hitting percentage is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, but as a team, Travis, they're averaging 229, which I would presume would be the best in the league from top to bottom. So when they've got girls out there swinging, they're hitting some direct targets, kind of like a game of Battleship. They are sinking some destroyers out there, and that's why they've been rolling out to this hot start. Just one loss so far against a Division I program.
Yeah, and they need to get out to that hot start if they want to compete with like a Fredericktown. Like I said, 4 of the 6 leaders in kills right there. from the Freddy, so they can spread things around. And in volleyball, you can get that double block up on one person and can get the kill, but when you spread it out, it's going to make it harder for you to get that block going. So we should be an interesting, just as good as football here in volleyball. And yes, I apologize. It's a football background.
Hey, let's
but
combine
this is
them together.
volleyball. This is volleyball, but Fredericktown, Centerburg, right there, and then Northmore played Fredericktown tough. Game back, Loudonville. They shown out of the MBC that they could be a team that goes at it too. So the top 4, but I think it's really down to the top 2.
Volleyball is going to be a fun battle between those top teams for sure, at least those top 4. But also some girls golf going down here in the KMAC this season. They've only got 3 teams that are fielded this year, but all really talented. You got an opportunity to see the Golden Knights of Northmore go head-to-head with Centerburg.
Yeah.
And they have, I would argue, probably the top 2 players in the KMAC conference individually.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the highlights from it right now. Northmore actually edged Centerburg in this match, but Avery Glenn of Centerburg was the medalist, and I believe today at the Colt Classic she was medalist as well on the girls' side. But this was down at Twin Lakes. Northmore pulling off a nice victory. They've had a very good season thus far in girls golf. They finished first out of 7 at the Buckeye Central Invitational on August 1st. Then they went down to Colonial Golf Club at the Allen East Invitational. 18 teams. They finished 4th down there. And then we'll get to today's Classic at the Clear Fork Invitational, but they won that one as well, an 18-hole invitational, and knocked off Centerburg as well, 177 to 181 at Twin Lakes. So they've got some golfers out there. Centerburg too. They'll be in the Central District this year with Avery Glenn, and they'll have their chances as well. But these two teams really impressed me when I went out there earlier this week to see them.
And you talked about a strong showing for each of them today at the Lady Colt Classic. 11 teams in the field out at the Little Apple Golf Course in Belleville.
That's a nice little course they got down there.
Yeah, it's short, so it allows for some premium scores. But at the end of the day,
You still got to have your short game for it, though.
Northmore would come out victorious. Caitlin Miley was the low lady, 79, I think, for her here today for Northmore in the victory. And she spoke with our Jory Hollenbeck after the win.
Going into it, I felt pretty good, and I thought I was going to do pretty good today, and I started off really strong. I birdied the first hole, and then after that, I had a few pars, some bogeys, but I came out 2 over after the front 9 with a 34, and then on the back 9, it was really rough. I think I literally went back to my freshman year and just had a really rough round. Of course, we always want to try to win, but I mean, we have a lot of new girls, so our expectations aren't super high, but yeah, we wanted to win. A big shout out to my coach Tyson and my other coaches from school, Mrs. Tackett and Jake Beard, and I also give a shout out to my parents. They helped me a lot with everything.
Shout out Coach Tackett as well, as she pregnant with the Tackett's 3rd child. So shout out to her and Blade. I'll have to congratulate Blade once again when I see him tomorrow night. But also shout out to this team. Just really, really good squad they have at Northmore.
Yeah, that they had 3 girls that were up near the top of the heap today. They did not have the top individual golfer. Came from Centerburg, which I thought were actually
Glenn.
the top 2.
Yeah.
Came from Centerburg today in terms of the individual low, but Northmore, they had enough within the top 5 collective score to get the victory. So really cool to see them go and show out today against an 11-team field.
Well, also, I forgot, after the Colt Classic, not the Colt Classic, but after the dual match, Caitlin asked the homecoming by one of the boys, and she said yes. Now, when we asked girls to homecoming back in our day in high school, we just asked. Now everybody's breaking out the signs with the flowers and all. What's your thoughts on that?
If it's not on Twitter, it doesn't count. That seems to be the new rule, and you gotta give gifts. My daughter just got asked to homecoming after her soccer match on Saturday.
What was the cheesy sign though? That the dad joke type sign. What was it?
I don't think she'd let me look at it. So she's got it up in her room. I'm gonna have to go check it out and see if this boy was at least clever, and hopefully I get a chance to meet this boy before they end up going out on their date. But
I hope he. I don't know.
Last year, she got a soccer ball that had all this stuff written on it and said, I want to kick it with you at homecoming. So that, hey, kudos to the boys, because like Travis said back in my day, I would just go up to Julie in the hallway and just be like, what's she doing Saturday? Want to put on a dress and go out and dance? Like, I didn't have nothing cool prepared. I wasn't writing no love notes. And
I can hear from the Skoronsky household right now, who's Julie?
Right?
Did you get my name wrong?
Yeah, it's...
So congratulations to her.
Are we gonna pull the scene from Bad Boys when he comes to the door to pick up his date?
Let me, yeah, you're right. I should probably fill this thing out first and then find out what type of kid this is. And if he needs to get some chains rattled a little bit, you know, we might have to chitty chitty bang bang. And you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. he got the guns out now. All right. Well, a lot of KMAC, of course, represented in football over the last few weeks here
As
on the
always.
OH.Report,
So
including on Friday night. So I know this is pretty much everybody's probably favorite part about the podcast. Y'all been waiting around for it. So the wait is over with. Let's now meet the top 10 nominees for your plays of the week from week 3.
Week 3's top plays coming at you, the 10 best, presented by Spherion Mid-Ohio. There's only 100 yards on a regulation football field, and at nominee number 1, Centerburg quarterback Blaine Ball gonna cover 93 of them on this one touchdown run. Supersized hole for Ball to escape through, and he rolls downhill the rest of the way for a Trojan score. This was the first snap of the second half and obviously would light the fuse for a 37-point explosion over the last couple of quarters as Centerburg came from behind for the win, and we've got more from this game coming up in just a bit. We're kicking off the fourth quarter for our second nominee, St. Paul, trailing by 10, but after a couple of open field moves, you'll see Landon Freeze about to answer the call in a hurry. No voicemail necessary, as he picks up on the first ring and covers 90 yards for a Flyer score. We'll hit *69 and run it back, just like Landon did, setting up as blockers like *67 and shaking loose between a 3-pack of defenders to give Flyer Nation something to scream about after a tough couple quarters. Let's get back to the ground game at nominee 3, Ashland County rivalry matchup at Loudonville, where Hillsdale's Owen Sloan reads his blockers and pushes the play out wide, where Redbird's arm tacklers just ain't gonna get it done. As this Falcon breaks away from the flock, 50-yard score. We'll run it back in slow-mo now and watch the defenders fall by the wayside as Sloan leaves them in his wake, covering half the field as he chugs his way all the way to pay dirt. Head down onto the reservation for our next nominee. You'll see a play-action fake here for Mount Gilead's Cole Fricky. He's going to load up the flamethrower and burn one over the top of the secondary into Wyatt Long. He'll finish off with a 54-yard connection into the zone. So cue up the MG fight song as the Indians handle Grove City for a 2-1 start. More KMAC at nominee 5, Northmore's A.J. Bauer. Going to swing it out to Cohen Becker, and it's all about this first move. Or maybe that shimmy shake right there. We'll also watch the hesitation, the maneuverability, like a crotch rocket in rush hour traffic, zigzagging 58 yards to close out the first half in style, and a big win for the Golden Knights. Clear Fork also picked up their first win of the season, home opener against rival Lexington, and how about this block on the edge to open up the perimeter for Jay Jackson, looking like a Mario Kart driver, hitting all the speed bursts at the edge of the map. This play covers 63 yards, thanks in large part to that Hunter Martin block, opening the door for Jackson to go coasting down the sideline. They say birds of the same feather flock together, and we saw the Philadelphia Eagles pull off this play in the Super Bowl. Now it's the Colonel Crawford Eagles executing the Philly special. Awesome 2-point conversion and a win there at East Knox. Multiple hands touching the rock, ending with Lucas Foy finding Braden Holt wide open for the 2-point score. Let's head up Route 30 to Upper Sandusky at nominee number 8 and check out this cross-body throw here from Braxton Prosser. He's going to have two teammates in the target zone, but it's Aiden Schmidt who makes the grab and go for a gallant score. I think he even left a dime for change. One more look at this crazy connection. Both Schmidt and freshman Kurt Hay converge, and at the other end of the rainbow, it's going to be Aiden coming away with the rock, shrugs off a defender, and goes 40 yards for a Tigers touchdown. Tough running on display as we return to the heart of Ohio. Just about everybody is going to get a shot at Miles Marshall on the Worthington Christian defense, but the Warriors absolutely no match for a battle with this Trojan. Single-handedly carving up the defense at every single level. I mean, let's run it back and count about 6 different broken tackles on the play for Marshall, ending in a 57-yard touchdown run. 44-21 Centerburg earns the dub. Our final nominee this week features more entertainment at the castle. Only one hand necessary here for Northmore's Cameron Goldbach. Snatches this acrobatic interception, and he'll ride with the caravan for a 27-yard pick six to cue the running clock. Dominating 3-0 start to the season for the Golden Knights, who clobber Mapleton 47-7, thanks to plays like this one from Cam. Be the difference. Cast your vote now to determine this week's winner.
Travis, you know what's better than getting 1 vote?
Getting 2?
2 for the price of 1, baby. We
Double
got a
dip.
special going on right here live and free on the podcast. So if you drop us a comment nugget and let us know, because we got Phenoms coming up a little bit later in the show, put like top played number and then whatever it is, or the kid's name, and we'll understand what you're saying. But 2 for the price of 1 right now if you vote on the podcast.
They call that a deal.
Galleon took home the top play last week.
Yes.
Thought that was a pretty cool play. They're back on the list again here, that Schmidt play. So the Tigers, man, that they've really been impressive.
Yes, they have.
Also saw some Galleon Tigers competing, running a long distance without stopping.
On a chilly
Saturday.
night, too. I saw you in a coat. I did volleyball
Dude, I
in the
had
morning, so
heated
I
gloves.
was comfortable at my home watching. But you guys did a good job.
Well,
Bravo
thank you.
on that. You were there for quite a while, but it was for a good cause, and for some of the best runners, not only in our area, but they're in the state of Ohio, were there for that.
So we're talking about, as you see the lower third pop up, the Star, Stripes, and Lights cross country event, because it's way more than just running. Of course, there's a lot of patriotism there. They had the Vietnam Wall of names, and it took up the entire football field, a full 100 yards, and the names are just this tiny. So it puts into perspective what we're dealing with when we're talking about our armed services and parachuters coming in, and at the beginning
I did
we got
watch it. That was pretty cool.
fireworks. It's such a cool event from top to bottom. Everybody agrees that's a runner and or a patron. That's the best cross-country event that they're a part of every single year, and they look forward to coming back. They guesstimate about 10,000 people were at Seneca East on Saturday.
That's awesome. And also shout out to the choir that sang the national anthem, because they had to time it with as long as so they'd sing a line, wait for a couple seconds, and they actually finished it as he landed. So shout out to that choir. It was all Seneca East students. Or the choir?
Yeah,
who was
I think they might have had like a couple special guests in
Yeah.
there, but for the most part, they called it the select choir. So you got to be real good to
Well,
make
they
it onto
were.
that group.
They were, and good job keeping your voice, all the talking you had too, because you
was only
kept that
4
thing
hours
going all
worth.
night. Yeah,
No big deal.
it's not like you're screaming at the backyard brawl or anything. You're able to keep that voice.
I kept it together. Have you been to Star, Stripes, and Lights before?
I have not. I've been covering other games just so you guys can go off and do your thing.
You
But
let us
I've
have
watched it, and it looks like a very good time.
Well, let me break it down for you just a
Sure.
little bit. I'll give
Hit
you
it.
a quick review of what took place. So 73 total teams compete in 3 different divisions, and they label them as the Division 1 are the Stars. 18 teams. Lebanon ended up winning the boys division. Adrian Steschulte from Finlay was the solo champion with a time of 15:38.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Moving pretty good, about 5 minutes per mile. Bishop Watterson won the girls team. Caitlin Van Sant Watterson, individual champion, just a freshman. And
She's a freshman.
had no expectations of winning the event. She said at about mile 2 that she took off, felt like she could keep it going, and just never slowed down. So I love stories like that, because cross country, I mentioned a couple times on the broadcast, it's a little bit different than football or basketball or even wrestling, some of the individuals, because skill set and your genetics have a big role in it, but really it's just about you and how hard you've busted butt if you've put in the 25 miles every single week during the summer, and then ultimately the little back of your mind that says you can stop at any time. You're tired.
Busting through that wall.
And you just keep it
Yeah.
quiet in the back of your head. So
Yeah.
really cool to see like a freshman step up and win it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the Stripes Division 2, 23 teams competed. Utica won the boys team, but Ontario individually finished number 1 and number 2.
There you go, Warriors.
Xavier Trent and Dean Morrison, times of 16:12 and 16:17. They were far and away ahead of the pack.
So that is the time, it's just about the amount of time it takes me to walk a mile.
Yeah.
I'm walking a mile, taking my time. They're running a 5K. That's, yeah.
Perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of the most fun portions of the night was the girls' Division II race. Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. This was a squad, as they call them. They was running about a dozen deep.
5, 6.
They definitely went 1 and 2. Camille Dunnifer and then Savea Woody.
You were
And
surprised.
then
You're like, and there's another one finishing in the top 10.
I'd have to pull it up, but I do feel like it was 5, 7,
It was
9,
the
12.
1, 2, and then I think it was a Crestview and a Galleon, and then you're like, then there's 2 more.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, the Irish were everywhere. Big team. They all finished with great times, a lot of PRs, and then they just had you're not supposed to be on the infield if you're a team, but since they came out and they interviewed with us, they all just decided, I think it's okay. They're hanging out with the media. Dude, they were just having a dance party. I mean, my producer Adam saw it. Like, when we put the camera on them more than we were actually putting it on the race at a certain point because they were having that much fun out on the infield.
People love fun.
But the main event, this is what I think is cool about it, is that the small schools, they get a lot of teams come out, 32 to be exact, and they're from all over the state. It's not just North Central and Northeast Ohio. It's a combination of all of the little schools, and our team from the KMAC.
Oh yeah, Mount Gilead.
Dominated.
I got to practice with them during the 24 hours. I was out there walking for an hour, but awesome team. They're also everything that we have cross country wise, they share. So shout out to the Mount Gilead cross country community. But they're an awesome group, and it's just
Stacked.
State runners up boys last year, state champions 2 years ago, and it looks like they got a chance of getting on the podium again.
7 in the top 25 for Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary, real quick. So
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
a big portion of that top 25. Of course, I'm not great at math, but that's like a third. So Mount Gilead wins the boys division, but how about Will Baker? Not only did he just win by more than a full minute, he set a new course record. So that's any division at any time, anybody running that course at Seneca East, because they also run a big event 2 weekends ago called the Tiger Invitational. Best time ever, 15:06.
I think he's one of the tops in the country as well.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to time.
It's hard to get much lower than that.
No, not at all. And he was one of during that 24 hours, I saw he was one of the ones leading, kind of leading the pack, because what they did for that 24-hour practice was they have tents, they have games and stuff, but one person had to be on the track at all times, and he was making sure they were out there, they were running with each other, things like that. But not only is he leading a team on the track, but he's leading off as well. And one of the reasons why Mount Gilead's such a darn good cross-country team in the whole state, in that small little town of Mount Gilead, Ohio, just south of us by about 20 minutes.
A lot of young kids on that team, many freshmen, so he said that this is a little bit different feeling and sensation for him, being by far the team leader, because when a dude that runs that type of time talks, you're going to listen, even if he doesn't have shoes on. He was walking around in the 40-degree temperature, no shoes after he won, just out
Matt
hanging out.
Schock watching as well.
What's up? I hear Matt Schock is out there tuning in, and he is the coach for Seneca East and also the brainchild of the event. He put the whole thing together, and while he deflects and he just gives everybody else all the credit, because it does take probably about 100 volunteers to make this whole thing happen. Plus, you got to get companies to give you money to contribute to a lot of the different stuff. But Matt, you could tell by the end of the night, that dude, he's running a little bit on empty. He's had a lot going on all week, but I just want to applaud him for putting on, again, an amazing event.
Well, he actually thanked you. Says, thanks, Brian. Appreciate you guys being there. So he's shouting you out with an applause as well. But applause to you, Matt. That's like one of the premier races, not only, I think, in the state, but
the region.
In the area. Yeah, absolutely. In the Midwest region. It's just everything that goes into it. You started your stream, 45 minutes, an hour before the first race, just because they have so many things, so much pomp and circumstance beforehand that you just have to show. And it's about that. And it looked like there was some food trucks out there for the fans. Like it's like a carnival type deal.
Yeah,
but
only
for
disappointing part of the night, the last 2 years, they brought us a big box full of food. Matt, we were hungry at the end of the night, okay? I went home unfed. I actually had to stop at Taco Bell.
If that's the only
TV.
TV got the TV. But if that's the only negative about that. I think you can live with
such a
that.
good event. No,
So
I
great.
was running on pure adrenaline out there watching those kids do what they do. So let's give Mount Gilead their flowers. They were the team champion, boys and girls. But in the girls' race, finishing first and third, 2 runners from Mansfield Christian, and a lot of other young runners on there finishing later in the pack for the Lady Flames. But Megan Tem has never won a race before. She comes out in this one. 32 teams, big stage, PRs, wins the event. She was all tears, couldn't believe it. Her teammate Patrick was so complimentary of her. Like the emotion that I felt standing between those two when I interviewed them, I haven't had that sensation very many times where you could tell it's 1,000,000% genuine that this girl's the best. No, you're the best, and they mean it. And they just kept volleying it back and forth.
Second time you've interviewed them as well this month. You remember you interviewed them after the Northmore Invitation, which they finished pretty
Second
well.
and third,
Yeah,
right
behind
behind
that
Tess.
Yeah, Tess.
Of
I mean,
course.
she's gonna win it, but
She's undefeated this year,
Yeah,
too,
but-
just like Will Baker.
we saw early on that those two were probably going to do good things. It's good for that. That's awesome seeing just raw emotion out of that, just all that hard work, and for you to win that race.
Yes.
That race. That might be before tournament time and districts and stuff. That's probably the race that people point on the schedule and say, if I win this, I am having a great year. That's
and
great.
It's been those two finishing neck and neck all season long.
Yeah.
However, it's been Riley in front every single time, like it was at the Northmore Invitational, and then Megan's just a half stride behind. So for her to break through and win, really cool. You know what else is really cool, Chap? Is we're gonna take a look here at the sights and sounds from the event.
Talk of the
Well,
town.
it's just all of the interviews, mostly with the athletes, some patrons, maybe even a coach. I don't exactly know. I haven't seen this clip yet, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
World premiere.
Run it.
Sometimes you even just see some fans, and I see very patriotic here tonight. So just tell me about the fit from top to bottom. What are you working with?
We got a cape, you know? And then we got the glow sticks, and then like a flannel. Yeah, massive.
It truly captures the American spirit.
What was your race strategy coming in, and do you feel like you executed it pretty well?
Well, so my coach just sort of said, like, make sure to just run your own race, and I think that's what I really tried to do from the get-go. And I feel like it paid off pretty well.
So you got right around the time that you were anticipating, or maybe even lower?
Right around what I was shooting for, yeah, sub-19. Yeah.
Mental, if you can do anything physically, but you can't do it without having the right mental state. So when I break away, I kind of just told myself, like, it's not me that did it, it's like my teammates rooting for me, my coaches, my parents, my brother, and that's what makes me break away, like thinking about like just making myself proud, making them proud, like kind of just representing everything and everything that I stand for.
Runners, it's over 70 schools, probably close to 10,000 people, I would guess, that have shown up tonight. But it's just an unbelievable community event for us, and we're just really proud to host it. We have the facilities and we have the space, you know, to be able to park people and do all the things we, you know, have to do to be successful. But it's just a great event for our school and for our community.
And I think you said the weather, it's a runner's night, but the competition, and that brings out the best in everybody, and it wants you to perform not only for yourself but for your team.
All right, so first mile, I tried to take the lead and just get things going pretty quick. And then, so a bunch of kids were following me, so I was like, all right, I really got to go now. And at the second mile, it was me, him, and one other person. And he started surging, so I just slowly went with. And it got to like 400 meters left, and I just went. So, yeah.
Yeah, before the race, I said there should be no reason me and you don't go 1 and 2 today. Me and him, last year at the district meet, we went 1 and 2, and we just kind of been working together all season, over the winter, over the summer, also over the spring for track, and you know, we're just used to sticking with each other. So I knew that was going to happen tonight.
Yeah, you know, when we started this 4 years ago, the goal was to bring patriotism into the community, and not that we didn't have it, because our community is very high on it, but bring it to all of the schools that come. And I'd say we've been successful in doing that, because this is not, you know, it's a cross-country meet that's turned into an educational event, and all 2,000 of these runners here tonight had the opportunity to go visit the Vietnam Traveling Memorial Wall, and let me tell you, when you actually walk out there and look at it, 58,000 plus names out there. The print is about this big, and the wall's 288 feet long and 6 foot high at its peak. It's more names than you can really imagine. And so bring that here, let these kids see that, let our community see that, is just special.
It felt very relaxed. I felt like I could breathe. So I felt like it was a really good race because also the second place finisher is Savea, because she pushed me really hard for this season, and you know, I couldn't really be here without her. So my mentality for the summer has been kind of strong at the same time.
Well, it's definitely a team sport, and really working on that pack time, trying to decrease that pack time, lowering that overall score, and that's something they were able to do. They were very impressive in their race. Had the 2 runners right out front, very strong, but more importantly, their 3, 4, and 5 was right in there as well. They are definitely a great team to watch, and I believe currently ranked #1 in the state. So something that they can continue to close that pack up and should make for a great season for them.
It's just throughout the week looking at on how all this stuff gets set up. Matt Schock does a great job, and all the community that comes to help. But I feel great right now.
Dude, the energy at this race is different. Like, you come here, the vibes are always great. The weather today was outstanding, so that made it even better. But every time we come to this race, even just entering with a big flag, I don't know, the energy is just great. So you always feel good when you get on the line.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, the team aspect of this sport is like my favorite to me. Having these guys that come out here, that a lot of them it's their first years running. So being able to lead them, show them the ways, it's the most rewarding thing that I could probably do. So it's a great time.
And it looks like you already ran in this thing. How much fun was it out on the course tonight?
Fun, but Gibsonburg sucks.
Oh.
Lakota's better, Gibsonburg sucks.
I love it, man.
I'm really happy with myself because it's my best time for this season. So, yeah, it's not like an overall PR for my whole high school career, but for this year so far, I'm really proud of myself, so yeah.
Mrs. Trumbauer told us a song. It's called Worship Through It, and that's what I wrote on my leg, and I kept on the whole time is that God will give you a breakthrough when He's ready, but while you're waiting, to just worship and enjoy the moment. And so that's what I kept in my mind during the race, was just to worship God through this, and none of this is possible without Him.
I've been with her all summer and all practicing from August, and watching her at practice, just like, it amazes me. It blows my mind every single time. I'm like, she has a gift from God. She's gonna go so far. And at races, she's just like, she does amazing, but she's just like, she's so close to like, she's been pushing 18 all season. So it's like every single practice, I'm watching like, oh, she's gonna get it this race. And we're just so close. And today was like the day. And as I was like coming around the curve, I was watching the clock, and I went on the wrong side of the flags. I was like cheering her on. I was so excited for her. It's so huge. I mean, everyone is so proud of her. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
We apologize to the fans at Gibsonburg High School for that.
No, they got what they deserve.
That's funny. That was
we
good
gave
stuff.
them plenty of FaceTime. There was a few up on the fence line there, fat head. So we were giving them some love. But when you got someone coming in from a rival, that hey, when it's live and it's free, you never know what's going to happen. And get me out there with a microphone. I'll shove it in just about anybody's face. You got to pick and choose your battles, and I feel like that kid definitely won the war.
Was that flirting or something with the girls? Or what? I don't. Okay. Who knows? Signs for homecoming and insulting people. Yeah, who knows nowadays? But one thing I do know, Brian.
Tell me more.
We have some phenomniees to get to. Phenomenal players from past Friday night football for week number 3. A couple guys on there for a second time already because they're just that phenomenal. So, sorry for taking your shtick, but without further ado, let's show you the week 3 nominees.
Spooky season hasn't officially started yet, but Bo will be haunting the dreams of Eagle offensive players the rest of the season. Phenomnie number 2 is already making his second appearance in the countdown as Colonel Crawford's Connor McMichael devoured the East Knox defense like I run through a biggie box for Mickey D's. 11 carries for 118 yards and 3 Big Macs. That's an average of 10.7 McNuggets. yards per carry as the Eagles go into Chet Looney Stadium and come out 33-0 victors. Our third nominee also is into the mix for a second time this season, and that is Galleon's Braxton Prosser. In week 1, he used his feet to get into the countdown, but this week he took to the air, completing 17 of 23 passes, a 74% completion percentage for 228 yards and 4 touchdowns in their 42-0 blanking of Upper Sandusky. He now has 7 passing touchdowns in 3 games to go along with his 2 on the ground, as the Tigers are one of only 3 undefeateds left in the Mid-Ohio Athletic Conference. Nom Nom number 4 helped Clear Fork get into the win column against a rival as the Colts' Nick Appleman galloped 23 times for 121 yards across the Colt Corral, including the game-clinching touchdown as they held off a Lexington Minuteman advance 28-3 to improve to 1-2 on the early season. They get into conference play next week and take on fellow nominee Braxton Prosser in Galleon at home. Nominee number 5 has helped the young Hillsdale Falcons squad soar into an undefeated 3-0 mark as running back Owen Sloan averaged 12.9 yards per carry against rival Loudonville, finishing with 13 carries for 168 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground to claw the Redbirds 42-7. Sloan has 4 scores on the ground now this season to help a balanced Hillsdale offensive attack. Our final fee nominee was the Swiss Army Knight for Northmore against Mapleton as running back Cohen Becker did it all on the offensive side of the ball, rushing for 69 yards and 2 scores, as well as a 58-yard screen pass touchdown reception. And all of this came in the first half. But we weren't done there as Becker then took the opening kickoff of the second half back 79 yards untouched to finish him and the first team's night with 4 total touchdowns, as the Golden Knights rolled to its 3rd consecutive running clock victory, 47-7 over the Mapleton Mounties. Northmore 3-0 on the season thanks to this fee nominee, Cohen Becker. It is now time for Yins to cast your vote in the comments section below. We will unveil the winner on Friday's episode of The Pigskin.
And Yins still got some time for the double dip. Vote right now. You get not 1, Brian. Not 1, but 2 votes counted for yourself here for this week's Friday Night Phenoms. And like I said, these winners, both Top Play and Phenoms, will be revealed on the Pigskin this Friday night. And Brian, I got to say, this year's Pigskin, more full of highlights, interviews. I think it's our best yet.
We're definitely covering more games. We've got more action. We're getting plenty of call-ins, and we've got some dynamic teams, some fun area league races about to start this week. So I know everyone's pretty excited. Week 4 always kind of initiates that second season.
Yeah.
And so far, we're off to a great start, and looking forward to hitting mid-season form as we should here over these next couple of weeks, right?
You know what else? What other division is great right now? And that is the AFC North, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are alone at the top at 1-0 because the other 3 teams did not get a victory, including I was over at the Skoronsky household, had a very nice time. The food was great, everything, hospitality amazing. But I did sit with you as we watched your Browns get toppled by Dak, the very rich Dak Prescott now in company in the Cowboys. And I know we have a special guest, as always, a good friend coming with us. But Brian, I just want to know about you guys and your mental state after this week 1 loss.
We should have known better as soon as Dak got the bag moments before kickoff, pretty much.
Yeah, that's weird, wasn't it?
It was like, hey, Jerry's like, hey, man, go out there and get us a win today. And how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in your bank account? Like, right to start the day, CD just got paid. made. Micah's the next man in line. It just was a perfect storm, and obviously we didn't generate much of a thunderstorm ourselves to try to retract what they brought in. So let's bring in our good friend and the writer for the Clee Bus to share his thoughts and his mental state here today. Joining us now, Mr. Lucas Wickheiser. Boy. Hey, at least it's not a brown bag. No tears yet. So I think, obviously, it's just 1 week. I saw Deshaun Watson's comments, and he was asked point blank, why are you not more concerned with this? And he was like, because I get 16 more tries. And a few years ago, I started 0-4. I won 11 in a row. I know what I'm capable of. We didn't see that from him in week 1, but do you feel like no reason to really think much about one game, Luke?
Well, first of all, Brian, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. But yeah, I don't know what to think, really. I mean, it's Watson's third season here, and I know he was facing a great Dallas defense, and we should never overlook the Cowboys. You know, I know Cowboys fans always say, this is our year. Well, it might be their year because their defense was nasty. But for Watson, I'd say as far as 1 to 10 on the panic button, I'm about a 5 right now. You know, I'm not going to mash the panic button yet, but there has been nothing from him to show me that he's been worth anywhere near the money we've been paying him still. And just for those of you who know, Baker Mayfield lit it up this last game. So I don't know. Maybe it's a reversal of fortunes. Maybe it's karma. But I'll have to wait and see. But it's not going good for the Browns right now, and I don't know if it'll change either.
We got to get better out of the quarterback position. 24-45 is not going to cover it ever, and especially with the 2 interceptions.
How much is he making?
Those were tough. Less than
230 mil, Travis.
Okay. So that's a little silver lining, I suppose. Where do I even begin with this?
Now, a little bit of story time. We were sitting in your backyard, beautiful backyard with the TV and everything, and you kicked the field goal. They scored a couple times. You're like, gotta stay positive. We just next drive, get down there, we score, stay positive. You were positive throughout that. Now, is that just knowing the Browns are the Browns, or is that knowing this is just game 1 going up against a good team? Because I know as a Steeler fan last year, we went up against San Francisco, who should have won the Super Bowl. Let's just be fair in saying that, but got steamrolled at home against a good NFC team, and then we ended up making the playoffs and bouncing back. Is that something that you thought maybe, hey, it's just week 1, we got some time to get this back, or did you see enough where you're like, yikes? Question for both of you guys.
I'll go first here, Luke. I thought in the first half that there was a lot of lack of intensity, as you wrote about in your article. And then in the second half, I felt much different. I saw individual members of the defense at least step up, and the guys that we know are primetime players and contributors, they look like it. JOK made some big hits. We saw Denzel Ward was in one-on-one coverage a lot with maybe the best wide receiver in football. He held his own. And then Myles Garrett, they were not just chip blocking him. Sometimes he was triple teamed, so he was being noticed enough that they had to, of course, structure their offense around trying to stop him from creating havoc. And the Cowboys didn't look very good in the second half. I thought the Browns outplayed them, putting ourselves in a hole where we've got 1 first down, though, going into the second half, where there's no consistency, there's no continuity, Luke, and it just didn't seem like there were any smiles. Deshaun wasn't bringing that vibe. I saw in a couple starts last year, people were gravitating towards him when things were going well. The chips were down, and he didn't have that type of tude that you want to see from your $250 million leader out there, the quarterback, to try to tell people, dude, it's just one half of football. We got this. He was very quiet, and I think that was the most concerning thing for me, Luke, to see in yesterday's loss.
Right, and like I said, like you said and like I've said, I know it's one game, and maybe I overreacted yesterday, but when I saw him laughing and smiling at the end of the game, I'm just like, what is going on here? I know with Baker, I know with Brissett, I know with any other guy we had in here, those guys are competitors. I'm not saying Watson isn't, but it really makes you question what his mindset is. I mean, when you give a guy $230 million, a guaranteed bag, if he really didn't want to try, he wouldn't have to. I'm not saying he's not, but it kind of makes you wonder. So, again, it is one game, but To be quite honest with you, I don't think he's going to last the whole year, whether it's from his poor play, whether it's from injuries. I don't see him lasting the whole season, and I don't know who the next man up on the depth chart is. I got to go look at that again, but I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, it would definitely be Jameis Winston. I saw today on national TV some pundits for ESPN were saying get ready, pretty much. I don't feel that way, Luke, and I'll present it this way, and then Travis has something he wants to jump in with. You need to be prepared to play the game of football. That's why they give you 3 weeks to go out there and do practice games, preseason games. Kevin Stefanski and our organization decided our quarterback doesn't need that work. He doesn't need to be participating. Right. And I felt like that was a failure to Deshaun Watson, who did, I guess, suggest that his shoulder was not feeling great that last preseason week. But this is just – that was his first reps against a real defense in that first half, and it really, really showed. So there was no practice for him that can really show you what it's going to look like on game day. We have a defense capable of getting you to that point, but until it's somebody that you're not familiar with on a regular basis, I don't think that you can be upset after 1 week. It is a game. It's a very long season. It's going to be next year, and we're still going to be playing regular season games. The calendar just flipped to September, so I don't think there's anything to panic about yet.
Going back to what you said, his comments where I still have 16 weeks to get this right. Isn't that a bit discouraging because you don't have 16 weeks to get it right? If you want your team to compete for the playoffs this year, you have maybe 2 or 3 before you really have to get the question marks of, do we have to bench him? Do we have to move on from him if we want to be competitive this year? Or do we just shut things down, try to get him right, and the whole, fan base just turns on you because you just given up? I mean, I don't like that comment from him saying, I still have 16. No, you don't. If you want to be competitive this year, you have 2 or 3 at the most, especially with the schedule that these AFC North teams have.
Well, everybody else kind of laid a division egg in that AFC North. Pittsburgh won, but I watched a lot of that game. It was rough.
We went ugly, especially early on. I'm happy with any win in the first 5 weeks.
So I just present it like this. I think if Cleveland had a different opponent, we may have had a lot different result. Dallas probably is one of the 2 most gifted teams that we have in the NFC. So really tough out of the gates. Does it feel bad? I didn't smile a lot yesterday, but I also didn't get discouraged because, like you write right at the beginning of your article, I just pulled this up, Luke. It says, at no time in your 33 years on this planet have you ever thought the Browns were a serious Super Bowl contender. They proved you right today. I think that's fair. But I'd also just say this, that, again, like all good things, like when you throw something into the crock pot, it needs a little bit of time to cook into season. Just because you got a chicken in there for the first 5 minutes, it looks kind of gross. And you're like, I'm probably not going to eat that. Guess what? 2 hours later, and maybe a couple of pinches of some salt on top. Looks pretty delicious. So I hope that you're not feeling as discouraged as a lot of Browns fans are that I saw on the Twitter, and certainly our comment section on your article. It was mostly people that are really upset about the direction of the team, missing Baker Mayfield, thinks that Deshaun Watson needs to take a hike. And I feel like, guys, it's 1 game.
How long
I get.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I get what you're saying, Brian. And, and I don't think I'm total knee-jerk right now. I am concerned. I'm not going to lie. I'm very concerned, and I hope it doesn't keep going this way. But a lot of Browns fans are still, let's just say it, it's been 2 years, but there's a lot of Browns fans that still aren't over Baker Mayfield getting run out of town. He didn't leave, he got ran out of town, and so a lot of people are still upset about that. I get that, but the Browns fan base in general, even though I love their passion, is very knee-jerk from week to week. I wish they weren't, but they are. But yeah, I'm not going to mash the panic button yet, but I do agree with Travis. He does not have 16 weeks to get this right. Imagine, because we got Jacksonville coming up next, which that could be 0-2. Jacksonville's always a challenge. And then the Giants, we better win that one. Raiders, they're kind of a wild card. You don't know which way they're going to go. So we could theoretically be 0-4 or 1-3 at the end of that stretch. I don't want to say that, but I'm trying to be realistic here. So let's just handle it one at a time, but also be concerned. I got my hand hovering over the panic button, but I haven't mashed it yet.
I think the only really difficult thing that came out of that Week 1 loss, though, was David Njoku, who was having a great start to the game, and I felt like really could be the security blanket for Deshaun. A breakout year last year, an all-pro, caliber season, and then he goes down, high ankle sprain. He's listed as week to week right now, which isn't, at least it's not a break, and it doesn't require surgery, but I think that also means that he's probably going to be out like a few different weeks. So we got to get it right here pretty quick, Luke. The Jaguars are going to be a formidable opponent, but it's a winnable game, and I think specifically the way that our defense played, they gave up virtually nothing in the second half to a very good offense there in the Dallas Cowboys. So I really did walk away feeling glass half full. The first half was such a disaster for the offense that it just, we were behind the 8 ball. That there was no trick shot that was going to get us out of that hole. Joe Baylog always says you need to get a stop and a score and a stop.
How many times did we say that on Sunday,
bunch.
though?
They started that way, but if you can't keep it going, then of course negative thoughts or whatever can start creeping into your mind, and the offense just never got it going. I didn't also want to push the panic button just because, I mean, we're down 3 starting offensive linemen. We need our 2 tackles, okay? Like,
and Nick Chubb.
We lost Jerry Jeudy went out for a little bit in that game. I think Amari didn't necessarily look like himself. 2 drop balls for Amari Cooper. I don't know that he had 2 drop balls all of last year, so I feel like I'm really on defensive mode here and trying to talk myself into the Browns not feeling like a total failure in week 1. But at the same time, we've been here. We've got off to better starts the seasons, and then we'll lose in week 6. And then I hear all the comments. And Ohio State fans do the same exact thing, too. You know, it's great. We're doing exactly what we need to be doing when we win 55-0. But if we're in a tight game, all of a sudden the coaching staff needs to go, and these players, why can't we recruit better? So, guys, I know that this is the birthplace of football, but it's okay. Let's see how it plays out.
Question for you guys: how much is a win worth to you?
Monetarily, or just for my brain?
Monetarily.
Well, I mean, it would have won me a couple $100 yesterday.
Well, right now, the 8 wins that Watson has, $28,750,000 per win.
Oh,
I wonder if
man.
that has anything to say with the I still have 16 more weeks to get this right because I already have $230 million in my bank account.
Doesn't have all of it yet.
No,
but he will.
He will.
I get what you're saying, Travis. I understand.
Is he? I mean, he's got the money. Is he just playing to play, or is he actually playing for Cleveland?
I know you're a Steelers fan. I don't know if you remember this. I got 2 words for you: Dwayne Bowe. Let's hope it's not another case of that.
Oh, baby.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody.
I know he was a veteran wideout, but I forget what they paid him. It was like 10 to 15 million, and he had like I don't know how many catches. You could count them on one hand. So each catch was worth like a couple million. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? So let's hope it's not that with Watson.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. I remember we got him from the Chiefs. Everyone was very excited. They're like, this is the big play threat that we've been missing. Big dude. And then he came to the Browns. I'm trying to see how many catches he had. It was not good. I think probably less than 15. It might have been a handful. You're right. But I don't think this is that type of situation, Luke. So just don't think too much about it, man. Let's let week 2 happen here. And then hopefully it's a bit more charismatic to Deshaun Watson. I feel like that's what we were missing the most, was having a quarterback that didn't go to the sideline and immediately sit on the bench. I did not see him utter a word until, like you said, in the closing couple drives, he was on the sideline and laughing and playing around and stuff. We need that a little bit more when the chips are down at the beginning of the game. Keep the mood and the attitude up. If we can get that from him and a little bit better accuracy, because some of those deep throws that he threw, I mean, they were 6 and 7 yards over a receiver's head. But to circle back to my first point about him, he didn't play in the preseason. He hadn't played a real game since week 7 of last year. It's been a really long time. So not the most likable person on earth. I get why a lot of Browns fans are like, dude, just get this guy out of town. But he's the most talented guy that we have on the roster at that position. He's getting the bag already. He did get paid for the whole season up front. That's in his bank account right now, to Travis's point. So let it roll out. Maybe he doesn't have 16 games to get it right. That's a fair point. But at the same time, just because you fell, even in the first couple of weeks, doesn't mean that you can't go on a little run. We get the likes of the Giants and the Redskins and Las Vegas back to back to back. If those aren't 3 dubs, then we got some problems.
You're going to be at the one in Vegas, aren't you?
I will. Yeah, I'll be.
So are you going to be
front row, baby?
if it's a loss there? Are you going to be the one screaming down at? Yeah. Oh, by the way, Dwayne Bowe, 5 career catches with the Browns.
There we go.
3 in one game.
Yep.
Yikes!
About right. Jeez.
And he got paid pretty good.
Oh man, he made it good.
Luke, before we turn you loose here, give me from the Browns game. I read your article. Not a lot to go off of in terms of making you feel pretty good. But where and what in what ways do you feel like this train is going to get back on tracks? And what's your expectation in a positive matter moving into the Jacksonville week here, week 2?
Yeah, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I mean, I am concerned. I am nervous, like many other Browns fans are, because we've seen promising seasons get derailed pretty quick. But I think the biggest positive, if it happens, and this is a big if, is can the defense, number one, build on what had happened in the second half, and number two, can they travel on the road? They didn't travel on the road at all last year, which was so weird.
Fair.
Because defenses usually travel on the road. I mean, we owned teams at home last year. We were 7-1, and we couldn't buy a win on the road. So that's the thing. Can Schwartz get these guys playing well on the road? We'll have to wait and see. But if they can build on the second half and take that on the road, then we got a shot at it here, and maybe we can rebound again. And the defense will have to be our strength, but we'll wait and see. He's supposed to be a defensive wizard, and we've paid him to be here. So. Time to put up or shut up, Jimmy.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Indeed. Hey,
That's
at
right.
least NFL's back, baby. Yesterday, even though there was misery in terms of my team's production, it was still an unbelievable day. Backyard, sun shining, some nice cold drinks, great food. It just there's way more to the experience of an NFL Sunday than just your team playing and the wins and losses. So I'm just pretty grateful to have this thing back, and it's just getting started. Got a score on that Monday Night Football? What's going on over there?
Let's look. I saw that on my fantasy
No
team,
Yins
at least
bets
Brees-
tonight, though.
Yeah,
We're trying to save our
viewers
viewers some money.
Yeah, we were just looking about, trying to get everything else set up. But I see it's 12-7 Niners early on the midway through the second quarter. Helps me out. Under 49, I win a nice amount of money tonight if that score stays under there. So, 12-7 Niners right now in the second quarter. 6:54 remaining. Breece Hall did have a touchdown already for the Jets for you fantasy owners out there. And let me look at the other one. Debo with a rushing touchdown. Debo Samuel.
Lucas, you got a Super Bowl prediction you want to drop on us?
Not right now, but I mean, as far as how Dallas looked, it wouldn't surprise me if they made a run, and I'm happy for my friends who are Cowboys fans if they're genuinely excited. I'm just going to say it. I cannot stand Jerry. I mean, if Jerry wasn't there, Dallas would probably be my second team behind Cleveland, but I'll just throw one out there and see what sticks. Cowboys, Chiefs. Cowboys finally win one. There you go.
Are your Cowboys fans also New York Knicks fans and LA Dodgers fans?
No.
Fans?
My friends have been dyed-in-the-wool Cowboys fans. They're not front runners. So they've been Cowboys fans since. I think one of them's been Cowboys fans since the Landry days. So yeah, he's been there forever.
Respect. They've gone through the many playoff losses as well. So it's.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So shout out to I gotta give him a quick shout out. He's a Cary guy. Shout out to Paul Snyder. He loves his Blue Devils, loves his Cowboys, and he was merciful to me the other day. He could have ribbed me pretty good, but he didn't. He's a good sport.
I also watched the game with a Cowboy fan in my backyard. Can't believe I invited him over, but he was quite nice. Actually, busted out a victory cigar for himself and a misery cigar for me. So at least turned out okay by the end. Well, Luke, we really appreciate you writing these articles for us. It does help me sometimes, simmer down a little bit after a big win or a big loss. It puts me right where I need to be. So I hope to see a little bit more positivity in the next article, but it wasn't your fault. The Browns gave us nothing to smile or write about, certainly in week 1.
Hey, you got a kicker.
It's going to get better, though, in week 2, buddy.
Yeah, fingers crossed, guys. I know I've been a Browns fan for a long while, but I'm always wondering how much more of this I can take. But hey, we don't know what else to do. We love them. That's what we do.
We just can't help ourselves, but it's all part of the process. Nope. You got to trust in it. And when they win, as we saw with the Cavs in 16, oh my gosh, is it sweet. So, Lucas Wickheiser, everybody.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Also the voice of Cary football, too.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, they have their own YouTube channel up there. They call him The Animal. I think that's a really cool nickname.
I love it.
So yeah, we'll have to get. I know Luke's always busy with his carry football games, but I'd love to call a game with him one day.
Yeah, get him up. Maybe playoffs.
Long way from
playoffs.
that. All right, Travis. Well,
not that long. We're already through week 3, almost week 4.
Yeah, we got some time. We got some time.
10 weeks, bud.
Just like the NFL season, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see a couple of things, right? I'm sure there were some teams that didn't have great performances in week 1 that you're now like, okay,
Steelers' offense didn't have a great performance, but we have a kicker, and we still won because we have TJ Watt. What? Yes.
Yeah. No, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Game wrecker.
3 top defensive players in the NFL. 2 faced each other yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know them.
Yep. Micah and Miles.
Micah and Miles.
Sure.
And then TJ Watt.
I mentioned it to you in the beginning of the third quarter. I said there's only 3 people, in my personal opinion, on the defensive line that you notice them every single play they stick out.
And they get held every single play.
It's them 3 dudes right there. So I'm really grateful that one of them plays for me. I know that you're happy that one plays for you too.
Yeah,
and just looking forward to a great NFL season. So may the best team win, Travis. Best of luck scoring a touchdown this year. At least we did that twice.
Yeah. And still lost, but we have a kicker that can kick 6 field goals, 3 from 50. But also, here's to our bank accounts being much bigger after
Working on
this
it.
season.
Working on it. Yeah. Not going to be Deshaun or Dak money, but baby steps. We'll get there.
Yeah, OH.Report money.
All right, guys. Hopefully you're rich in wisdom and knowledge from watching tonight's show. We had
Our
a great
longest
time.
of ever.
By far. 9:17. Thanks for sticking with us if you were here the entire time. We'll see you back here on Monday. Plenty of live streams coming up this week,
Volleyball
including
tomorrow.
3 tomorrow. I got soccer. See you then.